One story, of course, that you won't be hearing anywhere else in any detail in any New Zealand media, legacy media, lamestream media, whatever you want to call it, is the story about Nanaia Mahuta and the remarkable web of family connections across a whole lot of serious policy issues in this country. The He Puapua report, Three Waters, and co-governance issues. The Nanaia Mahuta, of course, is our Minister of Foreign Affairs and our Minister of Local Government. You can read and listen to everything you can know at the moment about this story because no one else is really covering it on the platform, and you can download the app, of course, the platform app at the Google Play Store and the App Store, where we've got more for you today after what has been a really interesting week, and we know that you are interested in this story. This has been the most stories around the minister, and the questions we have raised have generated more following, more reads, more clicks across all our sites than anything we have done here on the platform to date. And the person who has been keeping an eye on and steering this investigation for us is, of course, Ani O'Brien. And Annie joins us in the studio now. Good morning, Annie.
Morning.
Well, what are we into today? We broke this Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It's Friday now. Some other stuff has come out of the woodwork. Firstly, last time we spoke in the studio, I said, well, show me the money, how much money's involved here. I'm not sure that we've uncovered all of this, but we have got some details about the sort of amounts of money we're talking about.
Yes, we have details on that expert ROPU, the expert group.
Exactly. You could have to translate for me. So that's an experts group on what?
That's the waste management strategy. So it's the group is a group of 5 people who are Māori experts and on waste management, essentially, and that is the one that 3 of Nanaia Mahuta's family members are on.
On the expert advisory group on Māori. How is Māori rubbish different than anyone else's rubbish, Annie?
I'm not entirely sure, but it seems to be tied up in also the 3 waters questions and co-governance and who owns water. So there's all of those ties all come back together. Okay,
so there's a special Māori rubbish expert group.
Mm-hmm.
And that is appointed or paid for by the Ministry of the Environment,
yes.
Right? Okay. And 3 of the 5 members on that group, I presume, appointed by the Ministry of the Environment or chosen or picked?
They are. And at the time that this happened, Nanaia Mahuta was the Associate Minister for the Environment.
Oh, okay. So 3 of her family members get on this little group, and who pays? Do they get paid for doing that, or they do it out of the goodness of their heart?
They definitely get paid. So what we have found out is initially we found $25,000, and that is directly to Ka Awatea Services Limited.
And that's her husband's
Yes, so
company.
He is the sole shareholder, but there are 3 directors, and they are the 3 people on the group who are Mahuta's family members.
And they're also... So their nephew and a niece or his wife?
So the Tāmoko is a relative of a close family member of her husband, and Waimirirangi is his wife.
Okay.
So they're a couple, and initially we thought, okay, so $25,000. And then this other company popped up.
Mm-hmm.
So Kawai Catalyst Limited received a payment for support for the Māori expert ROPU. And
what is that, making the tea?
Well, there's not a lot of detail. There's one line.
All right. So who owns Kawai Catalyst Limited that's providing the support to the group that has the 3 members of the minister's family on it, getting the 25?
2 of those members. So Tāmoko and Waimirirangi own Kawai Catalyst. They are the 2 directors.
So they're supporting themselves on...
Yes.
And how much did Kawai Catalyst get?
They got $65,000.
So that's a total of $90,000 to the companies.
Yes.
Why would they split it up like that? Why not just take it all in a lump sum?
Well, we have to make assumptions here, but one assumption we could make is that because in the public service there are certain levels of sign-off for the amount of money that is, approved. And so, at a certain amount, you'll have this manager will sign it off. If it gets larger, it goes up the chain.
Yeah.
So one assumption could be that splitting it allows it to be a lower level decision-making process.
Yeah, because you have to be for contracts, as I understand, over a certain level, you have to be signed off as an approved supplier or an approved contractor in any field of government endeavour. And I am not sure, because we don't take money from the government, I'm not sure what that level is. Maybe, and look, we're just left in the position where we have to speculate here, aren't we, Annie? Because basically we've had diddly squat back from any official channels, from the Ministry of Environment, from the Minister's office. So in this vacuum, all we can do in the public interest is speculate, unfortunately.
And perhaps it's worth noting here that as the only independent media company looking at this, we are also the company that was initially, they didn't want in the press gallery, so we said. Yeah. And I have been personally blocked from the press gallery. You have.
I think that's strange. They've let me, and I haven't picked up my accreditation yet. Yeah.
And so those of us who would ask questions in the press gallery, in Parliament, potentially put questions to the Acting Prime Minister in a press conference, we cannot go in and ask those questions.
Yeah, well, I think I might be attending the next Prime Ministerial press conference somehow and exercising my rights as an associate member of the press gallery to ask some questions about that. And the other thing that's been notable, apart from effectively a bureaucratic wall of silence on these issues, and I think the legitimate issues of public interest we have raised, there has hitherto been a huge reluctance, not only by opposition political parties, who I believe should be interested in this. They seem to be timidly waiting to see probably what their overnight focus groups and polls say, to be honest. But also what we would call the mainstream, the legacy, the whatever media, have kind of been running off talking about other stories. But that changed overnight, didn't it? I think old Granny Herald has published something.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They've dipped a toe, we could say. So overnight there was a piece that essentially shared the details we've been sharing, and it was put behind the paywall and in their business section. So they're not really pushing it, but it is good to see at least there is a little move towards the issue.
Yeah, and from what I can understand, they did go and talk to the Ministry of Environment, who have paid this $90,000, total of $90,000 to two companies or groups owned by relatives of the minister. And they got back, essentially, from my understanding, Ministry of Environment said, we're managing the conflict of interest.
Yeah, they acknowledged the conflict, which is a very interesting thing. You know, you would have thought, well, I would have assumed that there would have been, actually, we looked at this and there isn't a conflict, so we proceeded.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
But that wording kind of suggests that they acknowledge there is a bit of an issue here, but they seem to think that they can manage that, which I think we probably need some more assurances of how that would happen.
And we also come back to the fact that from what we can establish and what is publicly available, Mr. Ormsby, the minister's husband, and indeed the people who work with him, have no apparent expertise for roles which were specified to require expertise in certain things, and they have none of that on record, no tertiary qualifications. They help write the Tapua report about co-governance, no constitutional law experience. They're meant to be sort of public relations experts, no public relations experience. That is all really curious, isn't it?
It is, and I will say that the two younger family members, Tāmoko and Waimarirangi, they have got bachelor's degrees in various things. I think one has an engineering degree, and they've been involved in what I would suggest is activist environmentalism. They've gone to the UN as part of rangatahi groups, which young people groups when they were teenagers. And so they have been, from the looks of it, lifelong activists in that sense. But as you say, there isn't the really practical expertise that you would expect in a group that is focused on something like waste management, and that is paid $90,000.
Or constitutional change or co-governance. Yeah. These are big, heavy issues.
And it's a lot of money to pay for not really expertise.
Yeah. All right. The other thing is reaction to this, and we have had a remarkable social media reaction to people. We've had tens of thousands of people probably into the hundreds of thousands now viewing and consuming the stories we've been writing on this, Annie. And look, let's be honest about it. Some of those people and some of the comments we've got on Facebook and everything, and I'm not going to beat this around, have chosen to see this as a race issue. Or make an issue of how the minister looks or what they personally feel about the minister. I've got to say, not the majority of people,
no.
By any stretch of the imagination. But I've come back when I have, lost my stuff and responded to those who I think have responded poorly or badly or missed the story here. This is fundamentally an issue about the governance of the country, public money, and a cabinet minister. It doesn't matter what the colour of their skin or what they look like. And
I actually think it's detrimental to exploring this issue and getting answers to get distracted and kind of stuck in the culture wars of race and saying nasty things. I think we should be looking at this from a point of view of, this is one of our most senior ministers. This is one of our most powerful people in this country. And there are questions she needs to answer about how much influence either she or others have bestowed on her family.
And we'd be doing this if this was a national minister,
absolutely,
or a Green minister, or any other sort of minister. Why do you think the pollies haven't quite engaged yet? And I must say, it's been a busy news week. So we've had all the China stuff, we've had the shooting, we've had the Prime Minister over in America doing her thing on the Colbert Show, and now telling off Mark Zuckerberg at Harvard. Why do you think that, and I'd say this is a sitter for ACT or National, why aren't they in like robbers' dogs?
My perception is that it is fear and timidness, and they are afraid of what the media will do. They know that if they poke their nose into certain areas like race and other cultural issues, that they get thoroughly dragged.
Yeah. And that, I'm going to come back. In fact, I should have circled the wagons back on this earlier. When I say that some of the people who are reading our stuff are responding by saying this is an issue about race, we equally have, and probably more of them, what I would call the snowflakes or the virtue signalers on the left, who are coming and saying, in fact, I had one last night, said, you're a racist old white man, you don't like women of colour in positions of power. And I came back and I said, no, nothing, race, gender, nothing to do with this. And I guess in the current climate, politicians are afraid of someone screaming racist or misogynist at them.
They are, and I think that they need to have a little bit more intestinal fortitude and perhaps be more resilient to those issues, because as we're seeing, this is almost like a populist journalist movement, because we got this story because ordinary people dug this stuff up and put it out there and said, look, there's an issue here. And so this is something that clearly there is public interest about. And so you would expect that our opposition would be digging into it. They are apparently biding their time and seeing what happens and all this kind of thing. But really, I just don't think that's good enough.
Yeah. Neither do I. Yeah. And that's why we're going to stick on the story. And great work this week, Annie. Really good work this week. It's what the platform is all about and is meant to be about. And I'm amazed that we're shifting the dial already, which is fantastic. That is Ani O'Brien, has been spearheading our investigation into, well, the family matters of Nanaia Mahuta, our Minister of Local Government and, of course, our Minister of Foreign Affairs.